Hey everyone, it's Sandy Peckinpah joining you live on, what day is this? Monday. Judy, you're already here. You're so fast. And you have a beautiful green handle today. It's gorgeous. Hey, how are you? I noticed you've been posting some great cups of coffee. Makes me always want to have a latte. So, welcome. For those of you who are joining me on the web or joining me in replay, I'm Sandy Peckinpah. I'm an author and I love sharing tips and tools and inspiration for waking up your creative life. My fun, I missed that handle, but it looked kind of fun. October Things, welcome. Cynthia's here. Yay, Cynthia. Cynthia has just committed to writing a blog every day. Yay, Cynthia. Great job. I love talking about waking up your creative life because I feel that everyone is creative. I look so happy. I am so happy. I've had a really great day, creatively and intellectually, and that's like the best of both worlds. And tonight, after this broadcast, I have my coaching client, and it's her third session for writing, and I'm so excited because I love working with people and helping them write their story, and that's what she's doing tonight. So anyway, welcome. We're going to be talking about winning your creative battles. And for those of you who have joined me on this broadcast before, you know I am crazy for the man who wrote these books. This book, The Turning Pro, and this book, The War of Art. I'm telling you, Grace is here. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm so glad you're here, Grace. Yay, Grace is back. For those of you who don't know Steven Pressfield, he has an interesting story. Brandy, welcome. For those of you who don't know Steven Pressfield, he wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance, one of my favorite movies. It's so inspirational, and he wrote the book first, and then Will Smith played in the movie The Legend of Bagger Vance. And it's a wonderful story of commitment and motivation and creativity, really, and trusting the process that you're doing exactly what you should be doing if you allow yourself to come alive. And that's what Steven Pressfield's books are all about, is that this one, The War of Art, break through your creative blocks and win your inner creative battles. This book, Turning Pro, is tap in your inner power and create your life's work. Well, this man has been a writer his whole life, and he says that his creative battles are ongoing because there's something very innate in all of us that prevents us from fully expressing our creative right brain, and that is called resistance. Resistance. He says we all have it. And he encourages you to close your eyes and really think about, are you the person that you want to be at this moment? Or is something calling you, that little whisper in the back of your mind, that you're not fulfilling your destiny? And I'm not talking about completely revamping your life and launching into a new career. Judy says, yes. I'm talking about taking one step at a time. Think pad. Welcome. I'm talking about taking one step at a time, tapping into your creative mind, which is the right brain, and start envisioning yourself. What would it look like if you felt fulfilled? If you felt that you had fulfilled your purpose on life and your destiny. Welcome of this. Good night. God bless. Okay, my dear. Thank you. And so what he talks about is that you could possibly be stuck in park. and nowhere for your right brain to go. Welcome, John. Nowhere for your right brain to go. And every single person is creative. That's what gives us our ability to tell a story when we're talking to a friend. It's what gives us the idea to figure out a new way of doing a contract. I had to get super creative today because I wrote 2 contracts over the weekend and they needed to be restructured, and I had to get super creative. So I'm not talking about, when I say win your creative battles, I'm not talking about that you have to be a painter or you have to be a writer or you have to be a chef. I'm talking about every person's ability to be creative. It enhances your whole life because you get to figure out another way of doing things if something's not working. And in business, that happens all the time. All the time. Suave, welcome. So Stephen Pressfield says in his books, maybe you're stuck in park and nowhere for your right brain to go. And he asks, could you be a writer who's not writing? Brian, welcome. Could you be a lover of books who is not reading? I met someone last weekend who said that she really wanted to write and that she doesn't read books. And that's, for a writer, something that's so imperative to waking up your right brain in order to be able to write is to read. Because reading is different than zoning in on television or the screen or the computer screen, but actually sitting down to read wakes up the right brain. And often with my writers that I coach, I teach them to do that as a process. I write too. Please remember to check the batteries in your smoke detectors annually. Oh, that's great. Great information. That's right. I actually haven't checked my smoke detectors, so thank you. I'm brave to be in business. Well, it is terribly exposing to be in business because I have to deal with all kinds of personalities. And great information, by the way. And so I have to deal with all kinds of personalities and all age groups in my business. I'm in real estate, and I'm so proud that I do very, very well in real estate. And I have my good cycles and my bad cycles. But what I recognize is that it's creativity that carries me through. It's creativity that helps me write the contracts. It's creativity that helps me negotiate to get the prices that we need to get to help my buyers or my sellers get what their ultimate goal. That's all part of the creative right brain. And that's why I feel that creativity is so important for every one of us to pay attention to. Stephen Pressfield says, are you a painter who doesn't paint, a gardener who doesn't garden, a healer without a practice? If you're a writer without reading, if you're a writer who doesn't write, then you know what resistance is. It's a force of nature that is undeniable. And he talks about this. Now, one of my clients is a pro golfer, and he's on the tour, and actually he just won a tournament, and I'm so proud of him. He's one of my past clients, and I can remember that when I was staging his home, that I would put a vase on a shelf, and let me see if I can just use this as an example. So I'd put a vase on a shelf, and there it would be, and my pro golfer client would move it just like 1/8 of an inch. He'd stand back and move it literally 1/8 of an inch. And I used to marvel at that because we staged his whole home, and that's why he wins tournaments, the big money. And I used to marvel at the precision with which he paid attention to the things in his home. It's not unlike what he does on the golf course to win tournaments. Isn't that amazing? Hello, welcome. I'm talking about my pro golfer client who, when I was staging his home, he was so precise with everything in his home. The position of a vase on a shelf, a book on a side table, a chair underneath the table. The precision carried over into his home, and the precision in his home carried over into his golf game. And it was that kind of through line in his creative mind, seeing the difference between a vase being an eighth of an inch off from a shelf, that made him great in his business. And as I told you, he just won a big tournament about a month ago. I was really excited for him. Well, I don't know about the lies, but anyway, it is so precise that his creative mind was awake. And his creative mind carried a through line throughout his whole life. So, according to Stephen Pressfield, when you know what resistance is, it manifests itself in unhappiness, lack of success, dreams unfulfilled, love that doesn't happen, friendships that don't take place. Thank you, Judy. Wonderful. And I think you're doing those beautiful hearts. Thank you. Love that doesn't happen, friendships that don't take place, happiness that can't exist. Those are all manifestations of resistance. So he says, here are the pursuits that often elicit resistance. And these are something that everyone has experienced. Shakaz, welcome. We're talking about the resistance and how it is a through line in people's lives and prevents us from fully actualizing what our lives have the potential to be. And it's important to wake up your creative life, because creativity goes through all areas of your life, whether you're negotiating a contract, whether you're playing golf, whether you're gardening. It manifests itself in so many different areas. And so resistance to what? Resistance to doing the work that needs to be done, or to take the steps that need to be done. And so he says, this may clarify it for you, Judy. Here are the pursuits that often elicit resistance. The pursuit of any calling. Do you find yourself saying, well, someday I want to write a book, or someday I want to be an artist, or someday I want to start a new business, someday I want to own a yoga studio, and yet you never take any steps toward doing that? That's resistance. You know what you want, but you don't pursue it. That's what Stephen, yes, thank you. Thank you, Donnie. Yeah, that's exactly what Stephen Pressfield talks about that resistance is. Oh, my sister's on this broadcast. Hey, Sue. So he says the pursuit of the other pursuits that often elicit resistance is the launching of any entrepreneurial venture. Like I was saying, like a yoga studio, maybe a new business. Maybe you're a graphic artist who's not doing graphic art. Maybe you're a chef who wants to cater, be a personal chef to someone, but you are not pursuing it in any way. That's resistance. Another one that elicits resistance. Javier, welcome. Another pursuit that elicits resistance is a diet or a health regime. How many people resist going to the gym, eating right, knowing all that we know, the benefits, and yet resistance? And Stephen Pressfield in these two books says resistance is a force of nature. It's as natural as breathing, as getting up in the morning. Resistance is a force of nature, because the things that are really important to us, we sometimes resist out of fear, because we feel we're not good enough, or we won't follow through, or we'll disappoint ourselves. Another avenue of resistance manifests itself. Oh, look, Siobhan's here who can't talk. She said she lost her voice. I'm sorry, my dear. Another pursuit that often elicits resistance is a program for spiritual advancement or any activity, and he says this in his book, any activity that aims at tighter abs, resistance, or the undertaking of any endeavor whose aim is to help others. I mean, how many people say, oh, I want to be able to do charitable work someday. I want to be able to make money in order to help people who are underprivileged. And so with those kinds of pursuits, we tend to put them off. And when we put them off, that's resistance. Another is education, fully realizing the education we always dreamed we would have. Elicits resistance. So, all right, let's keep going. Resistance is self-sabotage. Resistance of following through with the things that you wish to do is self-sabotage. And it manifests itself in ways like procrastination or resignation or lack of motivation for anything. I've been there. I knew that I wanted to write my 5th book since the day my 4th book came out, and that was February 28th, 2014. I was really proud of my book, and it's done so well. Oh, thank you for these hearts. It's done so well. And I knew that I had another book in me. And yet I waited almost 2 years. No, more than 2 years. Oh, thank you, Shavana. I was just going to talk about you. I waited almost 2 years to commit to writing my next book. And, in some ways, I'm glad that I did because I knew, oh, thank you, Grace. Am I an actress? I have been an actress, and I did a couple of television shows and TV movies years ago in the 90s, 80s and 90s, but I haven't done it lately in the 2000s. Sometimes you can catch some of my stuff on late night TV. Sliders, the sci-fi show Sliders, I was in that. Anyway, I loved acting for what it taught me. Wow, I loved acting. It taught me so much about character development, which also made me a better writer. Haley, welcome. Big Briss, welcome. You're here painting. I love it. Listening and painting. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Here she is. She is using her creative side to paint. And I bet it expands into all areas of her life. So procrastination is one of the most obvious side effects of resistance. Are you resisting your art? Are you resisting writing? Are you resisting better health habits? Are you resisting that class that you've always wanted to take and haven't done it? I was so proud of my sister Sue, who's on this broadcast, because she finally took a website class that she's been wanting to take for a long time, and she did it. People who allow resistance to rule their lives think like amateurs. That's according to Steven Pressfield in his books. And he said, the moment that you turn pro in your head is the moment that you begin to have your life fulfilled in the way it was always meant to be. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be, this is not meaning that you have to be a professional writer. But the moment that you commit to doing something that you've always wanted to do, that's what delineates you from failure, rising up to success. Because anytime you don't follow your destiny, you're withholding your true self. You're withholding the fulfillment of your life's purpose. You're withholding what your legacy potential is. Stephen says, the moment you turn pro, you are living life to your fullest potential. Jump shot, welcome. Stephen says, enact our own internal revolution. Our internal revolution that keeps resisting. It's the difference between an amateur and professional. Journaling is one of the best ways to overcome resistance in any field. If you study successful people, and I mean, no, it does not mean receiving money. It means committing to your art or your potential. It means committing to your work that brings you to the fullest, highest potential. Yes, that was a great question, Judy. Great question. It means totally fulfilling all of the talents that you've been given and letting it shine for the rest of the world and in your interactions with people. That's what turning pro is. It's just a term he uses, turning pro, meaning be your professional self. You know, I'm a real estate professional, and if I don't bring my pro game to every single thing that I do in real estate, I lose. Sydney, welcome. Oh, you are not fun. Let's see. There we go. All right. We need fun people on this broadcast, which we usually have. We have all of the fun people left. So, journaling is one of the best ways to, yes, block party. Journaling is one of the best ways to realize your full potential because it's the place where you can be honest. Journaling is the place where you start to write your true feelings because it's not for anybody to read but you. It's the place where you can start exploring your ideas and even put the trepidation you feel, the fear you feel, all of it. It's the place you start outlining what your dreams are and what those dreams were in the past that you didn't fulfill. Maybe they've taken a new form. Once you get it on the page, you become an observer, not the participant. And then you can analyze where you need to go. You gain clarity. So writing is often used in therapy, grief recovery, any sort of healing work. Writing is used. And it helps us give greater insight to our thoughts and how they affect our everyday life, interactions, our choices. Writing by hand, when you write with a pen in a notebook, it yields a more thoughtful pace. And that thought, whoops, I can't seem to do that. Here we go. It yields a more thoughtful pace. And it allows time for your ideas to sort of settle in and form and expand. Yes, Judy, it's a great idea to write. Most therapists, most therapy programs, most medical programs, most success programs, you know, I can't tell you how often, even in real estate, they tell you, keep a journal, keep a journal, keep a journal. There's a reason for that. And most successful people, you ask anybody who is successful, they keep a journal. I was so amazed that the head of Coldwell Banker came to our office, and it was very interesting because what was one of the first things he pulled out when he was talking to me? Oh, Trish is here. Hey, Trish. one of the first things he pulled out when he was talking to me was his journal, and he was taking notes in his journal. And he kept his journal by his side. Hey, honey, you know what? I just took a bath with one of your bath salts, Fizz Bubbles. Oh, it was so fun. It was just over the weekend. I had a beautiful bath thanks to you with her bubbles and her soaps, and she's the best. So remember the value of a journal. It's really true. Start keeping it. Another thing, do I smoke? No. Thank goodness. I love you too, Trish. You are the best. So writing in a public forum, online, on a blog, or a book also dares us to tell the truth, because you can get caught not telling the truth. And look how many people do. And so when I share something online or in a group or something, you better believe I'm cautious about what I share, because it's a commitment that I'm making. For example, when I tell you I'm writing my 5th book, you better believe that I'm going to finish that book. Heavening 35, welcome. So, never forget that this very moment that you're listening to this broadcast could be the moment that changes your life. Because maybe you'll use this moment to turn pro in your head and make a commitment to that thing that you've always longed to do. Art Master Info, love that handle. I was just talking, this whole broadcast is about facing your resistance, about these wonderful books by Steven Pressfield, Turning Pro and The War of Art, all about creative resistance and how resistance is so much a part of our lives that it prevents us from really fulfilling our destiny and our creative spirit. And what is a creative spirit? It's in every aspect of our lives. It's how we're a friend. It's how we're a lover. It's how we're a wife. It's how we're a mother. It's how we negotiate with our clients. It's in our business. You can totally relate to resistance. See, everybody has it. That's what Steven Pressfield says, is that resistance is a force of nature that virtually everyone feels. And it manifests itself in the form of procrastination, not fulfilling your destiny, disappointment in yourself, afraid to actually tell the truth because you didn't finish that paper you said you were going to finish. Self-confidence, thank you. Yes, self-confidence, great comment. I never considered expression of art as a lover. Marriages are creative. It's consistent negotiation. From Turkey, welcome. It is. It's consistent negotiation. You have to show up in a creative way every day. Otherwise, it's like eating the same piece of toast every day. It gets boring. Be creative. Let your marriage come creatively alive. The other thing that Steven Pressfield says is, this very moment, you can change your life. There never was a moment, and never will be like this, when we are without the power to alter our destiny. We have that power today, this very moment. This second, we can stop resistance and sit down and do our work. I don't know about you, but I am so excited that I finished the first draft of my book, and I'm now reviewing it so that it can go to the editor. And this is my 5th book, because I could no longer resist that I knew I needed to write my book. We have the power to say at any moment, this is not how my story will end. Oh, beautiful. Trisha, beautiful. Thank you, Shavana. I know, it feels so good. Oh, I'm so glad, Judy. I hope it's meaningful to you, because I do love spending time researching all of this for you, because not only does it enlighten my creative mind, but being able to transfer this information to you is one more form of creativity for me. It's time to get your creativity out of park. It's time to get your creativity in gear. You missed 4 whole days. Oh my gosh. You always make my day better just knowing you. I so appreciate that. You all are the best. Thank you for joining me night after night. I am so blessed. I'm here Monday through Thursday usually, and at 5 o'clock Pacific time, because I'm a Southern California girl. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sandy Peckinpah. I'm an author. I've written 4 books I'm really proud of, and I just finished the first draft of my 5th book, which I am now going through. I am so proud of it. And I want to, yes, a lot of scammers tonight. We just ignore them. You know, I feel bad that they feel that that's the only creative thing that they can say. That's okay. I just get to block them. And a Huffington Post blogger, yes! They promoted 2 of my blogs. And let me tell you, do you think I have resistance about writing the next blog because I'm terrified? I am. I am terrified. Because what if they don't accept the next blog? They did. I was so excited to see it. I told everyone, oh, I'm so glad. Yes, I have to fight through the terror and do it. Otherwise, I'm showing resistance, just what we talked about today. Thank you, Shavana. I do have this. I do have this. And I can't wait to share it all with you. So thank you for joining me. You are the best. Thank you for all these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful hearts. They make me feel so happy. And I'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock. You all are the best. Thank you.